right after my son Max passed, uh, some paranormal things start happening around the house, like really lots of paranormal things. So it's just like kind of pushing me outside of my comfort zone.
Today's guest is Selima Maxine. Selima is an accomplished international attorney and Fulbright Scholar who, following the loss of her son, now also serves as a life coach and a psychic medium.
With some degree of force that I couldn't ignore anymore. Like lights start flickering, the TV was turned off, but yet it just turned on with his favorite cartoons. Toys were moving around, books were falling in the floor. It was just like impossible to not understand or realize that there's something more. Since I was very much skeptic before, um, I needed something very powerful or strong or very much in your face to kind of wake me up, right? Because otherwise I would have ignored it. It was just impossible for me with the conditioning that I received to understand that there's something more to life, that life after life would exist.
And now for my conversation with psychic medium Selima Maxine.
Hey everyone! I'm really excited to let you know about the science and spirituality salons I'm now hosting. During these intimate events, a scientifically verified psychic medium will give all of you readings, and I will give a talk on the science and evidence that changed my mind about an afterlife. This will also be an amazing opportunity to get to meet some of you in person or virtually, and to share more about all the science and data that transformed my worldview and got me through my worst days. These can be hosted in your home, in a nearby cafe with a private room, or they can even be virtual. I've hosted a few already, and they were really special, fascinating, emotional, evidential. So if you're interested in getting a small group together over dinner, brunch, drinks, coffee, to learn more about the science and to get evidential medium readings, send me an email at hello@wtfjusthappened.net and put science and spirituality in the title.
Hi, today I'm speaking with Selima Maxine Crum. She is a spiritual teacher and psychic medium, and it's kind of as surprised as anyone to even discover that these abilities exist, let alone that she has them. So, welcome, Selima.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming on. So, this, like me, you've always been pretty skeptical. Why don't you tell us, about your, I understand you're an attorney. You kind of live the quote unquote very normal life, and tell us what your views used to be on an afterlife and a little about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like you, I've been a skeptic also before, things kind of start happening and opening my eyes to new possibilities that I never thought possible. So basically, like everyone, I was kind of trying to achieve, whatever materialistic society pushed you to achieve from our conditioning growing up. Okay, you have to find a career, you have to fit in, you have to own a house, get married, have kids, find your career. It doesn't matter about what your purpose or what you want to become or anything like that. It's just like what you have to be, what you have to achieve. So, I just followed whatever I was told. I collected degrees. I collected masters. I became an attorney. I practiced in Paris for about 10 years, then practiced at the World Bank for about 3 years and a half. And now I'm practicing as a international attorney in a private company. So that's what I've been doing until until things pushed me to a direction that I never thought actually possible. So in 2018, my son was born. So before he was born, I started hearing kind of some voices in my head telling me that something was wrong. But I kind of ignored it because, you're not being taught to follow your intuition or that inner voice that is inside you. You don't even know what your inner voice is inside you because you learn to silence it all your life. You have never been taught really to kind of go within, meditate and listen to whatever your gut or that small little teeny tiny inner voice was telling you. So I didn't listen to it. So I just ignored it. I was just listening to what the doctors told me, and the doctors told me everything was fine. So I just worked hard into ignoring it, even though I was really, really feeling that something was off and something was not going well. And I kept hearing those voices over and over in my head telling me, I am not okay, but it's okay. I will love you no matter what. So I found that very suspicious and kind of scary somehow. So that's why I kind of worked extra hard to silence it. I didn't want to believe it, right? Because it's scary. I didn't want to believe that, hey, something was going to be wrong. The doctors were telling me everything was right. So I just trusted them because I trusted that modern medicine had the answers to everything. In a skeptic world, you're not taught to challenge, what the science brings you. You have to surrender and learn to just trust whatever society tells you to. That's what I did. And I just realized that that was the biggest mistake ever, because had I actually listened to that voice, maybe I could have done something about it, right? Or not, I don't know, whatever was meant to be. So anyway, so my son was born with an unknown sickness. It was not even a sickness really, because I didn't have enough amniotic fluid in my belly. So it was a case study that never happened before. No one ever survived that. So he still survived it. He spent years at the hospital, and we were in and out of the hospital. And then I just felt that he was going to die. I just felt that he's not going to make it. But all the doctors kept trying and trying and trying, and everyone was, like how they force life into you, by put oxygen, put an additional devices, medical devices, just keep them alive at any cost. So, but in any way, like I was kind of feeling that he's going to pass at some point. I heard that voice again telling me, hey, just enjoy your time, because soon he's not going to be there anymore. But this time I kind of listened, right? Like this time I truly was present. I focused on the now, and I really, truly enjoyed the time that I had with him. And rightfully so, a few months later, he passed after 4 years of struggle in and out of the hospital. But it's okay, because, he was never meant to leave. And that's what I discovered afterwards, because right after he passed, I went to different psychic mediums, because I'm like, okay, there's something behind it. There's something more to life. It's not just, about black and white, about what society brings you on a brochure and tells you that's how life should be and that's your guide for the future. No, there's some intelligence behind the human beings that we are taught to ignore, unfortunately, but we are born with it. So it's not that I am a psychic medium. Everyone is a psychic medium. Everyone has that little voice. Everyone has the ability to actually develop that. So that's what my experience taught me. So I'm not special. And I don't believe that voice, exists only in me. That's absolutely wrong. It exists in everyone. It's just I chose to listen to it. And whenever you choose to ask yourself questions, whenever you tell the universe, hey, you're ready to actually open the door to learning more about yourself, the universe delivers. Of course, they want you to actually kind of be more aware about who you really are, right? And so that's what happens. So I just ask the universe to open me the door of knowledge about who we really are, about our spiritual journey, our purpose, our goals. And after my son died, I started hearing his voice in my head. And then after many mentorship with different psychic mediums that have been certified with the Windbridge Institute, with the Forever Family Foundation that you're very familiar with, did some training, some mentorship. I took some classes with Ginger Kinlan from the Windbridge Institute. I was in a very soul.com, which is also kind of a platform that has been created by Susan Gizman for practicing attorneys and practicing psychic mediums, and for then psychic mediums that start working there, on that platform, helping other people. And then that's where I kind of discovered that I was able to communicate with the other side as well. I was able to actually relay messages to other people, healing messages, and with lots of evidence, actually. So honestly, I was shocked. I did not think that I was able to do that until it happened. And then the first day, whenever it happened, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure that's true? So I had to practice with so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people. And she started doing it also kind of professionally. And it's just like whenever you open the door, it doesn't close. It's just the connection gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And you ask for more and you get more. You know, you ask for a deeper connection, you get the deeper connection, you know. So that's kind of a summary. Hopefully it wasn't too long.
Not too long at all. Wow. First of all, I want to say I'm so sorry for the loss of your son. Would you like to share his name with everyone?
Yeah, Max.
Max. Yes. So, I mean, that's actually a beautiful story. And so it's like he really, made a point of communicating with you, helping you on this direction, keeping a relationship going. And so, completely understandably, like me, you were absolutely shocked when you first got information. Overall, I can't do it 99% of the time, but I had a few moments where I did too. So, do you want to tell us about the first time you actually got accurate information? Because from what I understand, you said you were doing class after class, reading after reading, and nothing was accurate. Then you had one reading where it all changed. Am I understanding that right?
So no. So what I meant is first, just to kind of walk you through the journey real quick. So basically, the reason why I started this route that I like to call calling somehow, because I was pushed towards this direction right after my son Max passed. Some paranormal things start happening around the house, like really lots of paranormal things. So it's just like kind of pushing me outside of my comfort zone with some degree of force that I couldn't ignore anymore. You know, like lights start flickering, the TV was turned off, but yet it just turned on with his favorite cartoons. Toys were moving around, books were falling in the floor. It was just like impossible to not understand or realize that there's something more. You know, so it's just like, since I was very much skeptic before, I needed something very powerful or strong or very much in your face to kind of wake me up, right? Because otherwise I would have ignored it. It was just impossible for me with the conditioning that I received to understand that there's something more to life, that life after life would exist. I couldn't comprehend it. I had no idea that. And to be honest, I never cared to understand it because I never really lost someone very dear to my heart. So that's why I never investigated the life after death, right? But then after the death of my son, I just realized that it's very true. I mean, it's inexplainable all what happened, right? Like from a logical point of view, there was a limit to it. So that's where I started seeking the advice of different psychic mediums. But I just wanted to be like, I wanted some sort of institution or organization that backs the psychic mediums that I would consult, right? Because there are a lot of people out there that might not provide you with the ethics of, profession is not, there's no code of ethic around this profession, right? So I needed someone who would be backed by some sort of ethical institution somehow, right? And that's why the Woundbridge Institute, I thought, and the Forever Family Foundation were perfect for that, for the psychic mediums that were certified there. So that's where I seeked, I had many readings with them, and then they were able to validate actually with so many details, the personality traits of my son. And then I was mind blown, and I'm like, okay, there's certainly something more. Like, how can they know the color of the iPad of my son? That's not something that you can find on Facebook, like I was trying to understand, okay, what information do I have available on Google that they may actually have reached to or find Google to find the information on me that they would tell me in the reading. So I was just trying to kind of see what were the investigation skills that they would have and where it would actually stop. And I just realized that there were so many information that were not available online at all. And there was no way for them to actually find it. They were able to relay. So that's when I was even more intrigued. So that's when I started taking some a mentorship with one of them, Daria Justin. And when I did a mentorship with her, it was really interesting because we were able to do a meditation where we met in the meditation. And I never thought that that would be possible at all.
You and Max, or you and Daria met in a meditation?
Me and Daria, we met in the
Oh my God.
meditation while we were
Wait, you've got to explain that. That's I want to picture what that was like.
Yeah, so
And
it
so
was really
Daria, just this, she's also Windbridge certified, correct?
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay. Yeah, so
Yeah,
tell us a little about this. Crazy.
yeah.
I
So,
haven't heard it. I didn't know you could just do that either. So yeah, tell me the story.
yeah, it was kind of crazy. So she was sharing all her life story and guidance and wisdom about how she got there. And then one day she told me, "Do you meditate?" I'm like, "Sometimes I do some guided meditation." She's like, "No, not guided meditation. It has to be like real meditation. Just put some music on some solfeggio frequency and then just go out there." She's like, "Let's try it together." I'm like, "Okay." So I just close my eyes and then she's like, "What are you seeing?" And then I tell her what I'm seeing, and then she describes the following scene as if we were actually in the exact same place wherever we were, like almost like astral realm or something. I don't know where we were, but it was just like she was able to describe exactly what was happening around. And usually, whenever I do a meditation or anything like that, my son also come through. So then my son came through, and she's like, "Oh, I see a little boy." I'm like, "Yeah, he's next to me." So it's just like it was so fascinating that actually, quantum entanglement, the theory about quantum entanglement, how we are just energy and we're able to reflect our energy and communicate through energy with other people, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of the basis
Right.
of quantum physics. So that was true. That was not
So you would kind of like have visualizations during your meditation. So you'd be like, you'd see this, see that. A lot of us can have very visual meditations. And right after you'd see something, Daria would start describing what you were seeing.
exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Wow.
And I saw one angel coming through, like coming to me, and she was actually describing exactly with so many details, even what the person was wearing, like, and the color of the hair. So it was like really incredible. I never thought that would be ever possible. So I had that encounter, but I did have also another encounter where my son came to me in a vivid dream that felt so extremely realistic.
What
That was
happened with
insane.
that? Tell me that.
So all these kind of were the start a little bit of this journey, where a journey that took me out of the skeptic mindset to and opening me the door, to this spiritual realm and walking through, this spiritual journey. So he just came to me in a dream. So whenever Max passed, I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter. And so 3 months after I delivered my daughter and she was a newborn, you know how they say that newborn have like a very strong high vibration, right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
don't know if that was related or anything like that. She was sleeping next to me, and then the room suddenly started like vibrating, as if like everything, like nothing was actually solid. Everything was actually just particles next to each other. Whenever you touch something, you're not actually touching. It's just an appearance of solidity, but actually it's not solid. So that's what he showed me, right? And then there was like a white light, massive, and then that's how he walked through. And it was like all the energy of the room, like everything, even the furnitures were just vibrating, right? Like almost like I can see the particles out of everything, right? So it was just absolutely amazing. And I guess that's when I realized, okay, that can't be a dream. I can't have imagined this, right? I need to investigate this further. Like, I can't be crazy. There must be something more. And, all the paranormal activities that were happening around the house, all this adding that, the paranormal activities to the vivid dreams, then to the psychic mediums that were able to deliver so many accurate information and evidence in their readings, take the three together, you kind of start to realize that there's something more, right? Like you can't ignore it anymore.
That's really amazing. And did you see your son during that moment? Did you see Max, or did you feel you were meeting with him? How does he tie into that?
He came through a white light while in the dream, right?
Oh,
So it's like there was a white light that started opening. It's almost like kind of a portal or something like that, next to my bed. Like it was so vivid. It was so realistic, so extremely realistic. So there was like a big white light, and then he came through it, and he was like all white almost, like he was almost merging with that white light. And it was such a extremely peaceful energy, so much love, like so much beauty. Like at that instant I'm like, just take me there, I want to be there. He's like, no, no, you have so much more to experience, take your time, it's beautiful. And then he just disappeared, and then I'm like, no, I want that more. I want another vivid dream. So but it was absolutely beautiful. It's just like that energy, like the vibration, the free, like the different different energy that were kind of separating almost the atoms, almost, that you can see out of every solid uh furnitures. Myself, even my hands were vibrating, right? And then that's white light that just come to you and him in the middle. The entire vibe was just so mind-blowing that it's hard to actually put words on it. The peace and the love that you feel out of it, it's just like something that you feel. Sometimes it's hard to actually just express it. There's no word to actually express how beautiful and peaceful and all loving it is. It felt like you're merging with it, you're one with it, you're one with everything. There's no separation.
so you felt this whole, I mean, you had intense physiological sensations with it. It was much like realer than an ordinary dream. Did you feel?
It felt real. It felt so real, extremely real. It just, like, whenever I opened my eyes, I was confused. I didn't know if it was something that I truly experienced or if it was a dream. I truly was confused. Until this day, I can't say for real, right? Like, maybe my skeptic mind again is saying it's a vivid dream, but maybe it happened. I don't know. But who knows what can happen? Because who knows what we are really, like, we are spiritual being after all, like living a physical experience. So
And in a way, from what I understand, you saw like the reality, because we're actually not solid. Like when you get into quantum physics, nothing is solid. It looks solid because we're all big, but when you get into how things are made up, it's just tons of vibrating particles with lots of space between them. So in one sense, you saw, the quantum dimension, because you saw literally how it is that you learn in like science class. So that's kind of amazing,
yeah. And I honestly never, like, I wasn't the first in science, right? Growing up, that's why I took a different trajectory. So I didn't do science for a long time, and I haven't Googled it. So I haven't understood really at that time what that meant. So afterwards, I started like trying to understand what I meant, what I saw, try to find like maybe other people who experience the same thing, try to find validations that I was not crazy. And that's when I start reading lots of things about quantum physics, and that made so much sense. And it made me actually super happy to see that that's the trajectory that we're going to be taking in the future even more. That's how science is going to evolve to actually encompass the true reality of this matrix, if you want.
So when you came out of this experience, did you feel different after it? What were your thoughts? Because I had sort of not something so different where I felt all these crazy energy waves. I read about my first book, but it was still early in my research and I didn't really process it. It sort of was like I put it to the side and it didn't really come to me till much later when I was doing, a lot of other research where it just all clicked, that part of it. But now I'm just like, how did I just put that dream to the side? It was similar, just feeling like all these energy waves and kind of messages and thoughts, almost like downloads about like string theory and consciousness. So how did you, although I'd already been reading about string theory, so it wasn't like I then checked with physics and was like, oh, wow, this matches up. So I do have to give that disclaimer, but I mean, that's an amazing part too, that you experienced it and then it matched up with physics rather than you delved in deeply reading it. But how did you process that when you woke up? Or did you feel different in any way? Did you feel changed in any way?
If you want to learn how I went from being a skeptical atheist who thought there was zero chance of an afterlife to a skeptical atheist who thinks an afterlife is highly probable, come check out my books. WTF Just Happened.
How did you process that when you woke up? Or did you feel different in any way? Did you feel changed in any way?
So just like you, right? The brain tries to resist, like everyone, whenever you have an experience like that, your brain is trying to kind of take you back to the known, to your comfort zone, right? So it tries to pull you back. No, you're crazy. No, maybe what you're experiencing is just like an illusion. It's just your grieving mind, or you're just in altered state, or whatever, right? That's what your brain is trying to kind of pull you back to. And that's what happened to me as well. So that's why I couldn't just stop there and say, okay, no, I'm just a believer. Of course not, right? Like with after years and decades, growing up as not a known believer, you're not gonna just have one experience and then you tell yourself, okay, that's it, I'm a believer 100%, right? Like I'm not skeptic anymore. Even if you have a near-death experience, like I witnessed multiple near-death experiences with my son whenever he was alive. But I never had the near-death experience. But I'm pretty sure, like, even if you have a near-death experience, you're going to take years to process it, right? It's not something that you're just going to wake up from and you're like, okay, that's it. I'm now changed. I see everything clearly, right? Like, you need time. And that's how I process it, through time, right? Through keep investigating, keep trying to understand what that meant exactly. Keep trying to see where I can push myself, to get that feeling again, or try to understand how did I get there and how can I get back there, or how to better understand myself to make sense of what happened, or at least to feel more confident about the reality of what happened, if that makes sense. Okay, so because after what happened, that's when I started this hardcore journey of had multiple readings, and then started the mentorship, and then start just reading. And the most funny story, how I started actually becoming a psychic medium, I like to quote it because, I'm still kind of in the beginning process of it, like maybe a year or so.
Yeah. She put air quotes around it, the word psychic medium, for those of you not watching on YouTube. So just so you know, for those of you just listening to audio.
So whenever I had this class with the Ginger Kinlan, she just asked me, okay, how do you feel comfortable? Are you feeling comfortable? Did you have readings before? I'm like, no, never. I don't even think I have it in me. She's like, okay, read me. And I'm like, no, I can't read you. What are you talking about? Like, it's not like I'm not a psychic medium. So she's like, no, okay, just tell me whatever is coming through. And then I thought it was my imagination, but I started describing her people that I was seeing, which I thought it's like an inner screen, if you want, right? That's how they appear to me, right?
Like visually,
like,
you see them visually?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
and
yeah, go on.
As well. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like a screen where, like when you watch a TV, you hear and you see them, and you kind of also feel the emotion, right? Like I just have a screen almost like kind of comes to me, right? Like I can't even look at the person or anything like that, because I'm focused on what I'm seeing there. So that's what I saw. I saw like her moms, and I saw like so many information. And I gave her like so many details, and then she was validating everything. And then I'm like, well, I mean, is that real? Like, for a moment, I thought she's a psychic medium. She's just being nice.
You must have just been so shocked. So shocked.
I was, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's when I'm like, okay, I need to train, like I need to practice with many other people just to ensure that, what happened was not a one-time off, and that's actually real. So I did like hundreds and hundreds of practice. And after hundreds of practice, I was like spot on every time. Like every time. It's like, it took me maybe 100 people to trust myself, if that makes sense. Now I do trust. 100%. Now I'm a believer 100% on the spiritual realm and, you know, who we truly are, like 100%. But it took me such a long time to challenge these beliefs, right?
Oh,
Because when
I'm
you're a
still not
skeptic,
100%. So I understand. I'm still like, it's highly probable, but I'm not 100% convinced. Maybe 95. So,
right?
um,
Yeah.
well, what was the very first medium reading that you had when I assume you got medium readings before you even met Ginger and took the class? What was that like?
Um, it was kind of impressive in a sense because um, you know, they were able to actually bring so many very, very detailed evidence about specifically Max, about things that they would never know, right? Like, for example, the color of his favorite teddy bear, about, uh, you know, like I said, the color of his iPad, about how we planted trees, you know, together. So, some many memories and so many things that were so specific that you can't just comprehend. How did they get the information? And that's how I'm seeing now whenever I do readings to people. I just bring so many information that is so specific to them that I don't even understand what I'm saying. I just say it. And then I say, does it make sense to you? And they say yes. So it's just like a puzzle that they bring through, and that's how I also do it. You know, you just bring different kind of pieces of a puzzle, but you're the one who's able to actually piece everything together. You understand. You are the only person who's understanding. It's like almost these messages, like almost a telephone, right? But it's like the worst kind of line that you can think of, because the telephone doesn't function very well, you know. But it's in a way, it's that way, right? Like it's almost spirit is talking to you, giving you some clues that you have no idea about what you're saying, and then you're just conveying them to the other person. And that's how I was when I was a sitter in the other side, and when I am now giving the reading to other people, right? Just giving clues, and then they are able to actually piece everything together and understand everything, you know?
All fascinating. And yeah, so you mentioned you had a lot of PK, psychokinesis, like objects moving, and I think you did a good job explaining to us. I'm just curious, what was the very first example of that? And what did you think when that happened?
So, right after Max passed, I went to his bedroom, and then I was 6 months pregnant, right? Like I was kind of, we had the police coming, knocking at our door at 3 a.m., telling us, call the hospital right now. So we just called the hospital, have to say our last words. And then in shock, I'm like, okay, I mean, he died. He's not going to come back ever from the hospital. I go to his bedroom, I sit on his bed, and I'm like, that can't be true. Like, if you were in this body, now where are you? You know? So it was just like this confusion about what happens once you leave that body. That can't be all, you know? Like, if you come in, you have to come out to the same place that you came from, right? That's the logical mind telling you that, right? And I'm sure like everyone would think the same way. You don't go anywhere. You just don't disappear. You came from somewhere, so you have to go back to the same place, you know? So that's how I was kind of reasoning sitting there. And then I see books moving, like, you know, toys moving, sorry, and books falling down from his shelf. And then I'm looking around. I'm not even shocked. I'm just looking. I'm like, did I see that correctly? Is that really happening? You know, it was just so kind of confusing. You know, when your mind is actually, your eyes are seeing something, but your mind is not able to process it. The same way when you had your dream, right? You weren't able to process
Right,
it. Yeah.
right. I mean, I've had a few things. I think along this research, I haven't been able to process. I feel that always, um, seems to happen when you start to, when you're a skeptic who starts to research this. Usually, I think most skeptics come to this based on loss, although I'm sure some just have inexplicable experiences that get them curious. But,
Yeah, absolutely.
and And so then you went to that, you talked about that first medium, and then with the PK, that was the first time you saw it. Is there like one example of PK that just was the absolute biggest what the fuck and the most standout, or was it kind of a compilation of all? What are your thoughts on that?
What's PK? Paranormal?
Oh, sorry, psychokinesis, like, or that's not necessarily psychokinesis, because that could be, your mind doing it. So I guess the objects moving,
Oh,
what
okay,
of
okay.
all the objects moving, is there one that just absolutely blew you away? Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have said PK because that's an assumption that it comes from your brain, like spoon bending. So the objects moving, we shouldn't call it PK because it sounds like it came from somewhere else. So
Yeah, I mean, there were there were two things, right? There were things that were truly happening right in front of your eyes, that your physical eyes can actually see them, and that can actually be validated by any other third person that happened, right? Such as, for example, the TV that was unplugged from the wall that just switched on by itself to his favorite cartoon. That's objective fact that happened, right? So that had zero explication, and it wasn't like from my mind, right? So it's just like, like there, those things I think were needed, at least in my journey, right? It depends. Every person needs different things for themselves to be able to open their mind to the possibilities of who they really are, or just start their spiritual journey. Every person needs something different. For me, I really needed some compelling um, evidence, if you wish, right?
I mean, I needed so much. I mean, I still am looking for the evidence and it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. I can't deny anymore, but it's just because all your logical senses, it makes more sense that consciousness is created by a brain. If you're just observing day to day, it doesn't make sense. It could work any other way. But then when this phenomena happens again and again and again, and from all different angles, whether like objects moving to experiencing your own dreams or psychic giving a reading yourself to getting them when you use full precautions, it's just, in all the research, the masses of research, you can't really come up with other explanations after a while.
Exactly. And that's how
Yeah.
you detail it in your book, right? Like all the experiences also that you had. It's just like
Yeah.
at some point, those are the results, right? You
Yeah.
can't
And
deny it.
you can't. And you can try to come up with explanations, but you can't deny that what happens doesn't fit into the laws of the universe as we understand them right now, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm curious though, when you get medium readings or you got them, did you take precautions like a fake name or anything like that?
Um, I did not actually, because whenever you book a reading, at least with those certified mediums, because I never did with anyone else, you have to kind of give your name for payment purposes and stuff like that. So, but the thing is that my Facebook is not active at all. I didn't have my Instagram is not under my name. It's like not under my full name. So my LinkedIn has my maiden name. So it's just like, even
Right.
though they could have Googled, okay? So even though, right, like there's a minimum, they could have Googled everything, I would have thought in my mind, right? Like, from an investigation point of view. But there were so many facts that no one would be able to actually know, right? Like I said, about personality traits that are so specific to the person that they are bringing through from the others can't make up, you can't find online, right? Like even if I have your name, I won't be able to actually know that, I don't know, that you like a specific brand of product, I don't know, of skincare product or something like that, right? Like how would I know if you're not advertising it? Of course, right? So it's just like so many specific things that are so compelling that you can't really ignore them at some point. You're right, it's not a coincidence, really, you know.
Yeah. And that's so true. And I know that science and physics and reading a lot of this research as well was really compelling for you. What research, science, all of that did you find most compelling when you began researching?
So, quantum physics already, I thought, because I was trying to find something sciencey a little bit, like, your book, for example, right? Like it backs it by science. I find it very, very useful as well. Um,
You.
yeah, of course. I think you're doing an amazing job, kind of opening up this knowledge to the world, right? And making everyone realize that there's definitely something more to life through these science backed analysis and information. So definitely science, right? Like I wanted to go check and trying to understand from a scientific point of view what quantum physics, right? Like it's more kind of the most advanced as of now can tell us about the atoms, about the energy, about what we are on a base, on a really base level. So that helped. I think that helped tremendously. But also meditation helped, because sometimes whenever you're looking for the answer, just go within, right? Like no one can really provide you with really the answers that you need, but meditation and grounding, right? Like being within the trees, being um, ground yourself, feel nature and do yoga, walk, whatever, and meditate. Whenever you meditate, you kind of unlock a little bit kind of the key in your mind, right? To your higher self, to whoever you are, right? And the thing is that challenge yourself also, right? Like if you challenge yourself a little bit more to try to push your boundaries even further, for me, it was through the readings. Um, it took me 100 people to trust that I was actually communicating with dead people, right?
You're
It took me
yourself
100 people.
giving 100 readings, not
Me
getting
giving,
them. Okay. Wow.
no. Yeah, me giving 100 readings. And I was doing it like every day with a full-time jobs and with two small children, because for me, it was kind of a calling, right? I needed it to understand. I needed it in my journey, right? And it took me 100 people to truly become a believer and to truly embrace my spiritual journey. And that's how skeptic I was, right? So just do it for yourself, try it for yourself. And everyone is able to do that. Everyone is able to tap their consciousness into any other living person and any dead person, because the person is not dead, it's just the physical body that doesn't exist. But the consciousness is still right there. They still have the memories of everything, but they just see things in a whole different level, in a macro level, I want to say, okay? And everyone brings a little bit kind of a flavor of advice to their loved ones every time they bring I bring them through, and it's so beautiful. Every time it's just like, they're not talking about the last car they had or the Ferrari that they bought or the yacht that they got when they were alive. They talk about, the beautiful, meaningful, amazing relationship that they were able to build with the people that are still alive, about the spiritual growth that they were able to experience while there, about the purpose that they were able to fulfill while there, about the regrets, but the love that they have for that person. And that's what comes through. And that's the true essence of who we are. We are love. We are compassion. We are all those amazing feelings. But it doesn't mean that we need to reject the lower feelings. We have to embrace it all. We're here to grow. We're here to become a better person of ourselves and to challenge ourselves to walk through our path. Our spiritual path is different. Every person has a different spiritual path. You just need to kind of listen through your meditation to that little voice to tell you what is yours.
They say when people are really young, they have abilities. Have you noticed? How old are your other two children? They're little, right? I assume.
Yeah. So one of them is almost 2, and the other is almost 5. So the one who's almost 5 is very stubborn, let's say, and he was actually strangely very helpful with the care of Max whenever he was alive. Like anytime Max had near that experience, it's almost like he knew or he froze. He just was helpful. He would bring things. He would bring us like, kind of um, an oxygen machine because we had all those tools at home, right? So it's just like there's a deeper understanding for those children. They see things that we can't see because they're not conditioned yet by society. Because once you start being conditioned, you just lose it, right? Lose that connect to yourself.
Does Max seem to visit them? Do they get signs or communication? And if so, if you're comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear a story about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Max is still very much here. So for me, like I really am able to communicate with him on a daily basis. He's the one who actually pushed me through this psychic medium journey and other spiritual journeys. So he's really behind me, like pushing me towards that. And he's the one who almost kind of is my medium from the other side, bringing through the messages. So he's very present. I do feel his energy very present. And especially my daughter actually feels his energy and sometimes talks to him. So she's like still very young. She's like almost 2. So she's still like babbling a little bit, using many words. But, she reached out her hand to nothingness. And then she starts talking and having conversations. And then I feel his energy. So I know it's him, right? Sometimes when she's in her crib and I look at the camera and she's actually talking to a person, right? So it's just like those kind of encounter. I do feel and I know that there's strong connection, especially as they cross path, right? They were 3 months apart. One was leaving and while the other one was coming, right? So my older son, who actually, so he was alive when Max was alive. I mean, he met Max. That's what I meant. So he does have some kind of. He tries to deny because he's school now. So whenever you start school, you start kind of decreasing that connection. Sadly, right? Like kind of breaking up a little bit that bond. But he still kind of feel him sometimes. He's like, "Oh, look, Max," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, look, there's a butterfly that he's sending." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah." So I'm like, okay. But like I can't, it's not something obvious where he's like, it's just some little crumbs that he just, but they are young too. So it's hard for them to articulate exactly what they're seeing and feeling and sensing. They don't have all the words to be able to put it, but they do feel it very strongly. They know. And he doesn't feel like his connection with death, for example, is not the same as adults. We are taught to be afraid of death, but there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just part of a cycle of life. They completed the journey. They can complete the journey at 4 or at 80. It was their choice of the soul.
Right. So you think it's planned in advance if we're going to leave really young versus leave elderly?
I think it was planned by you, right? Like your higher self, your free will is you who planned this experience for yourself, right? So it's like if you want, that's how they at least showed me whenever I had those or the readings that I've been giving, where it's almost like you are in a room, with you do breakout rooms with different people that you're going to share different times of your life, okay? And you're going to talk through the lessons that you would like to learn from them, the lessons that they would like to learn from you. It's almost kind of a different kind of working group somehow, right? But you do have the purpose. You choose the purpose of the life that you would like to live, right? Like, let's say, for example, I would like to live a life that, I would have lots of challenges that are going to make me grow tremendously. And then I'm going to break through that shell and see the true self, right? Like that's, but all the challenges and everything is a lesson for your spiritual growth. And that's how you plan it. You plan it through different experiences. You choose your parents, you choose everything. That's your free will.
And then you're here and you're like, why the fuck did I choose that? And you're so mad at yourself, You're like, oh, that was a bad decision. But I don't know. Maybe when we go back there, we'll be like, it'll make sense. And do you think when you had that intense vibration meditation and saw Max. Do you think that was a type of, I mean, it wouldn't exactly be a shared death experience because it wasn't during his passing, but do you think that's very similar? Would you guess to what, like, were you on a step towards where we go when we pass ourselves?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So the thing is that just to take you back a few years ago, when Max was sick for 4 years, he had multiple death experiences. So we were kind of living with death, right? But we were wrestling with death instead of just surrendering. That was our enemy. It was like really, it, I didn't see it at least the same way, right? Like it was prevent him from dying. That was the goal, right? And it was just so common. So we did witness him almost dying many times at home, right? Like becoming blue and then losing consciousness for a few moments. And you have because we used to have an in-house nurse as well because of his condition was so complex. So anyway, so I did witness his consciousness leaving his body many times, right? And then where the body becomes entirely empty, and then bam, it comes back. It's almost like as you see it, like the first time you don't pay attention, you're freaked out. You're like, whoa, like, is he dead? Right? The second time you try to tune in a little bit more. The third time, by the fourth time, because it happens so many times, unfortunately, you just gonna know that there's something going out and coming back, or maybe not, but there's a consciousness. There's something very strong that is making the body alive again, right? And that's what made him kind of so special. Also, he has almost lights around him. Like everyone who met him was like he was making a difference in people's heart, almost, right? Because his light was shining very, very brightly in a way because of all these near-death experiences. Like he was so connected to the other side. I couldn't see it by then. I do see it now, but I do feel that whenever he passed, he kind of almost. Because I asked him, right? That's what I was saying. Ask if you are willing to embark in any spiritual journey. Ask the universe, ask your higher self, ask your guides, whoever is out there, whoever you believe is out there, right? Because that's the most important thing. If you don't believe in guides, you can't ask guides. If you believe in God, just ask whoever you believe in to just show you and give you the information because they are so much willing to. That's what I did. I just asked him, hey, I want to understand everything. I want you to show me everything. I want you to continue talking to me. I want you to prove to me that I'm not crazy and that there is really a life after life because I was hearing his voice literally right in my mind. So I needed proof, right?
Wow.
I mean, as much proof as I could. And in a way, it's not scientific proof that you can prove, obviously, in a microscope, the same way hospitals want to convey, but it's a proof that was strong enough for me to believe.
I know a lot of you have heard me talk about the Forever Family Foundation. They were absolutely instrumental in helping my grief and in changing my view of the probability of an afterlife. They use science-based testing to certify psychic mediums, have a scientific advisory board, and they host grief retreats. They will be hosting a special grief retreat this October in California, only for parents who have lost a child. The founders, Fran and Bob Ginsberg, who've become like parents to me, although Fran sadly passed in 2020, started the foundation after the passing of their daughter, Bailey, so helping grieving parents is dear to their hearts. This retreat will have psychic mediums and speakers. While they host many grief retreats during the year, having been through it themselves, they understand the unique type of grief and the safe environment needed for those who have lost a child. For more information and to sign up, go to foreverfamilyfoundation.org. I'll also have the link to this retreat in the show notes.
Proof, right?
Wow.
I mean, as much proof as I could. And in a way, it's not scientific proof that you can prove, obviously, in a microscope, the same way hospitals want to convey, but it's a proof that was strong enough for me to believe, if you will. But yes, it was in a way a near-death experiences, I think, because he took me out of my body, almost like in a different realm where he was, right? Like where he showed me where he was. And that's what I asked. I asked him to show me where he was. I wanted to make sure that he was okay. And he's like, you're the one who's not okay. I am perfectly okay, you know? And he showed me where he was. And it's like a state of consciousness, right? It's not a place, right? It's a vibrational state. That's where they all are, and we all are going back to. But we're not really in a physical matter, if you wish, right? Like it's almost like we are in a kind of some sort of matrix where we have the illusion of reality, of the illusion of matter, the illusion of an illusion of reality, but it's actually not, you know. But it's for our highest good. It's just for us to actually learn so much more about ourselves and then come back to that state of consciousness, you know, where we all connected. But it was so beautiful, extremely beautiful to just see how beautiful that place is. There's no hell or heaven, you know. There's an expanded and one consciousness that we are all part of. But if you want, it's like we have different kind of personality for each, you know, but it's a different personality that is a reflection of yourself. It's a different part of yourself that you're seeing in every person. And every person that comes to your life is just going to show you a different facet of yourself, you know. That's what I felt was, because the unity and the love and the connection that you could feel whenever he granted me this beautiful, amazing gift and experience, that's what I believe is, you know, like there's no separation. It's just an illusion of separation. And we just have to kind of enjoy this life because it's short and quick and just beautiful, and just learn and expand and just understand that there's so much more to this. This is just the little tip of the iceberg that we think is everything, but it's not.
Right. That's encouraging to remember. I know we can all easily start to feel this is it, you know? Yeah, it's just sometimes you have to process. It's all so remarkable. And kind of just so the opposite of, I guess, how you or I always used to think the world was. And so you explained that Max had many near-death experiences. Do you know if he had, that means that he physiologically passed and was revived. Did he share any experiences like that you hear about, near-death experiences, like seeing a light or consciousness? Do you know what those experiences were like for him?
No, unfortunately, he couldn't towards the end because his lungs were getting so weak that he didn't have the air to express them. But he sure was more vibrant after each encounter, let's say, right? Like you can see him like lighting up in ways that were, it's hard to kind of put words on it. It's just like a feeling, right? Where he was more alive than ever and more aware than ever. It feels like almost like he had some knowledge that we didn't. He almost like always appeared to me like he had all the answers, but he just didn't communicate it to us because of some issues that he had, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating. Are you well read on the near-death experience literature and research? If not, you have to read it. You'll just love it.
Yeah, I have read a few, but yeah, I would definitely need to kind of read maybe a lot more. But more, I feel like all of them are kind of similar because, you know, at the end they're being taken in the same kind of place, but, you know, just seeing things differently depending on your beliefs in this lifetime, right? Like some people see Jesus, some people see, I don't know, Mother Teresa, right? Like some people just see their parents. But at the end, it's just a reflection of a light being or whoever you can relate to, right? But it's the same feeling towards the end, you know. At the end, it's the same feeling. It's love, it's unity, it's oneness.
I know, like, because I can relate to this. You described the beginning stuff where you're like, what the fuck? And then where you're at now and lots of little things. Was there, I feel like a lot of us who have this path have like in the middle turning experience where we're going from, oh my God, maybe, to just that pushes us in the middle of this to the next level of something's going on. Do you feel you had something like that?
I think I did, yes. So whenever I start doing the readings, um, at first, like I was still, okay, I am getting this, I'm getting this information, I'm getting all this validation of the evidence I was able to provide. But then I challenged myself a little bit more, and I'm like, I want names, I want dates, I want age, I want something even more, right? Specific. I want the individual that I'm reading for to truly know that they are talking to that person, right? Like, so I challenged myself. So it's kind of a fun game. I'm like, let's see if I can get there, right? Like that was kind of my turning point a little bit. I'm like, okay, if I'm able to get there, it means that okay, now I really need to become a believer, right? Like now I'm taking that turn. I'm committing to that turn, right? Because that turn is truly true at this point. If that happens, and that did happen, right? That did happen. Whenever I did ask, I was able to actually bring names now. Now I'm bringing names, I'm bringing age, bringing dates that they are able to kind of recognize because I never thought to ask before. I just took the information on my screen in my inner head, inner board that I see with my third eye, and I was just bringing the information that I was seeing. But then I went a little bit further and I challenged that by asking for more, and that's when they were delivering, and that's when I'm like, okay. I mean, obviously there are tons of consciousness out there, and it's totally 100% possible to connect to them. And it's not only me. Anyone who asks, anyone who challenges themselves, who tries to, who has a compelling reason for, because some people don't. Before what happened with Max, I honestly didn't. I was okay, complacent, living known awaken somehow, living in darkness, following the rules. But if you choose at any point to not follow the rules anymore, to just see things in a different way, from a soul perspective, from a heart centered perspective, then whenever you start asking, they're just going to open up, open up, open up, because you have guides in the other side, you have angels, you have loved ones that are protecting you, that are part of you. If you want, like a team, if you want somehow, right? You're not sent by yourself. You're sent with an intuition, which is your compass, and you're sent with many people who are there to really assist you in this human experience. That is not easy, right? Because you have to feel all the feelings and you have to go through them and incorporate them, in your energetic body, and then let them go through and then, heal. So the entire experience is not easy. So of course we have a lot of people that help us through that. So I think, whenever you ask those helpers, however you want to call them, and then whenever they actually answer whatever you're asking, that's when you're turning. You have to turn in that case, because you did ask and was delivered. So there's no doubting afterwards.
So do you experience getting psychic information different than mediumistic information? And just for those listening, psychic is information like reading a living person, like their future, facts about them. Mediumship is connecting with the other side. Do you experience those differently? And if so, how?
Yeah. So absolutely. So I use the psychic abilities right now. It's kind of fun whenever you actually tune into your psychic, and you kind of trust. Psychic is like really about trusting your inner gut. It's like whenever you see a person, you're like, oh, I don't have a good feeling about this person. This person looks like trouble. You don't understand why, and then you kind of feel things, but then you shut them down right away because you're like, my mind is actually taking control here. But then once you actually start trusting yourself, because that's the basis, right? Like trust, fostering this trust to your inner self. So once you start trusting yourself, then you start actually trusting those nuggets, those little nudges that you feel about other people, and almost like kind of you start having even visions about what they're doing, right? Like you almost see them sipping a wine, looking at the stars, or you almost see them like going through their meals with anxiety, and you feel the anxiety if you're in your own body, right? That's how I perceive kind of the psychic kind of things, right? It's I feel it in a kind of lower vibration, almost like I am with them in the same kind of vibrational level, if you will, So where the same way I talk to you, right? Like we are connected right now, like I feel that connection like close by, like here, right now, here, close enough. So there's no really a lot of energy for me to use to be able to read you psychically, right? But the spirit, it's different. It's a different kind of animal, I want to say, because you never know who wants to come bring a message to the person, to the reader. I never know. Of course, you can always ask a name, and then that person can, whoever passed can come through, because many people, for example, wants to hear only from one person. I know that's what I wanted to hear from before. So, you give a name and that person is going to come. But then whenever they come, they flood you with information, right? Then I have a screen that comes up like here, like almost higher up, it's not in the same level. Psychic is more kind of here, so it's easier. It doesn't require me a lot of work. And like the psychic, it's more me trying to get the information, but the mediumship, it's like almost them flooding me with so many scenes, information, like words, images, memories, right? So that's what I learned recently, which I really like, and it's very cool. That's when I ask them, give me your name, give me your age, give me whenever you passed, give me something relevant for the reader. Before I didn't ask. So that's why I'm like, no, I need to be like even more kind of evidential, like specific evidence that are impossible to kind of, or hard, super hard to find. So that's how I get. That's the difference, right? Like, and the mediumship also, they're very high energy. So at the end of the session, I feel like hungry and thirsty and a bit tired, but at the same time almost floating, because it's so much high energy and beautiful and love. And like even the spirits who used to not be like easy spirit in this lifetime, they are different people there. They see things differently. They are pure love. They just shed all their fear, their anger, their resentment, and they become like a brand new person. So, and they just want to say hi and they share their love. And, so it's just like beautiful. I really, truly enjoy it because it's just so much love, and at the end, you're just going to get some of those energy with you to continue your day with, and that's beautiful.
And I want to ask you a final question. If you would like, is there a special memory you have about Max, a special moment you shared, anything about his personality, anything you'd like to leave us with so we can get to know a little bit about him?
Yeah. So he was very, very tech savvy. Like he was so tech savvy. Like he was like super smart for his age. He was only 2. He had those iPads where he would start DJing between 2 iPads. And then for some reason, I have no idea how he did it. Until now, I have no idea. I don't even know how to do it. He would sync one of the iPad to the TV. So the TV would actually switch on. And then I would hear like DJing between 2 iPads and a TV. And he was only like 3 at the time. So he was genius, honestly. Like my son doesn't even know how to do that now, like so it's just like so impressive. He had such a connection to music where he would start dancing and then DJing, actually almost creating his own music. So that's why he comes to me, I guess, in my mind, because he was so kind of maybe connected to and we do have kind of our signals and all that through, for example, like TV or songs or the electronic, whenever they kind of start, whether lighten up by themselves or light flickering or something like that. That's how he likes to communicate, and that's how I know it's him, because he really was very kind of connected already to that before, and he really enjoyed those type of things. But he was very funny. He was very funny and trickster in his own way, and in his way of communicating, at least, because he was able sometimes to communicate clearly and sometimes a bit less. But the beautiful thing is that like, you never really lose people that you love. They just transform, and they are just in another form. You just have to kind of open your heart enough to welcome this new relationship, accept the fact that you're not going to have the physical relationship anymore, and enjoy and really like actually foster and have fun with this new relationship that they're granting you. So just whenever you open your heart and are in acceptance of this transformation, this new brand fresh relationship that you can have with them, you find peace, and actually, you don't feel that the person is missing in the same way, right? Like, of course, you miss the hugs and stuff, but you still have that connection on a daily basis, you know, in different way, but it's still there. So that's when you actually kind of maybe walk through this journey of grief more easily and lightly.
Thank you so much. Your story is very heartfelt and moving and evidential, and really, like, I found it very moving. I'm sure our listeners will too. So lastly, where can everyone find you, follow you, see what you're up to, get a reading?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Liz. So my website is selimamaxine.com, and my handle on Instagram is selima-maxine.
To get more information on what the fuck just happened, go to wtfjusthappened.net. There you can order my book, WTF Just Happened, A Sciencey Skeptic Explores Grief, Healing, and Evidence of an Afterlife. You can learn all about how I came to conclude that there most likely is an afterlife, but you can also learn about the early stages of my grief and the amazing, fascinating people I met along the way. You can read about how much I harassed the mediums and scientists trying to get evidence to see if the mediums were cheating and see if what everyone was saying actually was true. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to stay updated on any new developments and any interesting new what the fuck updates. So if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. It makes such a difference, especially for a new podcast like this one. And if any of you have had a crazy what the fuck yourself, have any questions, feedback, or just want to say hey, reach out on either Instagram at WTF_just_happened_, or email me at hello@WTFjusthappened.net. I love hearing from all of you. It makes my day hearing your stories and questions and feedback and all of it. And remember, you don't have to draw any final conclusions as you wonder, what the fuck just happened?